What's going on? Thought I'd do a quick little tutorial on configuration and functionality of the Arpicade. That's this little device here. It's a JAMA adapter with a Raspberry Pi with the correct signal output for a standard low resolution monitor. I'm running the SD, Arcade SD theme, and I've sort of tailored mine to fit a 4-way 1-button because it's a Michael-Axian cocktail. And I've also customized it to sort of fit my needs. And so you can see how it's running through the track mode here. I've set mine so that it will go from game to game to game to game, and it'll show the wheel image for the title of the game as well as a video preview with the track mode sound. Now, I have set my track mode sound to 50%. I think. I can't remember if I changed that setting, but if you have a USB keyboard, you can get these pretty cheap. I actually paid $3.99 for this one at Fry's. You can plug into your Arpicade. Now, when you do that, here's some of the things that a lot of people don't know how to do, how to change the functionality. If you hit F4, F4 will take you into the service menu. And in the service menu, you will be able to change things like I have mine currently switched to low resolution vertical. This will switch video output to low resolution horizontal. There's some other things in here I'm not exactly sure about, but you can set up your screen resolution, video output, high resolution horizontal, disabled by default. And here's the vertical version. Switch to 2-player default mode, switch to 4-player. You have to have the 4-player adapter, obviously. So, but I'm going to, I'm not sure how you escape out of this. I think that exit a track mode, that might work. But I think I have to power, I usually just power down and power back up. And I have mine on a little switch, one of these, there's a wall outlet and I have a little remote so I can turn mine on and off. But when you first download the image from the Arpicade forum, you'll have to download the image and you'll use Megasync, which is this little red icon up there. And you'll download it, and then you'll use below it WinDisk32 Imager. And what you'll do is you'll put your SD card in, and you'll select the drive and then find the downloaded image, and then you'll write the image. Pretty straightforward. You won't get any ROMs or anything like that. You're going to have to provide your own ROMs and what have you. And you'll tailor it to your needs. If you're running a horizontal or vertical orientation monitor, you'll have to select that in the service menu as I showed you. And then once you have that set up, you can then hit tab, and that will take you into the configuration menu. Now I am running, I'm not sure why, but my keyboard isn't working at all. That's weird. It's like my keyboard isn't working. Oh, it's because I think I disabled it. I'm using my joystick left and right. So, and enter. So in, let's see, displays, in displays, enter, you go to all games, and then go up to layout. This is the version that I'm using, SD Arcade Modified version 2. But if you hit enter, you can change it to some different things there. But that's just what I'm using, so I'm sticking with it. And collection ROM list, all games, show and cycle, yes, show and menu, yes, global filter. I'm not sure what some of these things do, but let's go back. And then controls, you'll actually configure your joystick controls for previous game up, which is joy left, previous or next game is joy down, and so on and so forth. You can tailor all of those things in the menu so that your controls will work as you need them. We'll escape back out. Now in sound, movie volume, I have actually set a little higher than I thought. Let's go down to 50%, 40%. Movie volume. That means when I first boot into the game and it's running through its track mode before I go into a game, it will be 50% of the actual game volume. There's an actual separate pot on the Arpicade that you're going to adjust your game volume in, the overall volume, the loudness of every game you play. Some of the volumes can be adjusted individually in the main menu system, but I'll show you that in a second. But it's at 100%. My movie volume is half of that, so that when it's running a track mode and nobody's playing the game, it's not quite as loud, because I like to play my games a little bit louder when I'm actually playing them. And then so in screensaver, my screensaver timeout is set to 30 seconds. I have a basic movie, so it just plays like what you were seeing as soon as I booted in. I'll show you that again. But I've turned off the image and the movie collage, and you can actually change this to, I have mine set to wheel. You can have it set to none. In fact, I'm going to change mine to none right now. Why not? Preserve play sound, yes. Preserve aspect ratio, yes. And I think that's about it for me. I haven't really messed with anything else, but full screen, show last game selection by default. There's a couple different things you can do in here. Launch last game, show displays menu. I just have launch last game. Show last selection by default. That's what I have mine set to. Apparently you can have multiple monitors. I don't know anything about that stuff. So let's go back here, and we should escape back into the menu now. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. I mean, that happens if you escape back out of a track mode. That'll take you into the main sort of system. I don't really use that. I don't really know a whole lot about that. I'm just sort of showing you the SD sort of style image. The script that you're seeing running on there, that's because this is my sort of third Arpicade. It's actually running a Pi 2. My other ones are running Pi 3 plus. But so now in 30 seconds, this should go into an attract mode, and it will just do that. But it should no longer have the image down here anymore. We'll see if that actually worked. We'll see if we made a change. Yeah, so it just went directly into Miss Pac-Man with no image down there. I actually think I kind of prefer that. I was thinking that earlier when I was looking at my 8-way setup, that I didn't really like the wheel image down there. It's okay, I don't really need that. And it'll sort of run through its thing there, and then it should back out and go to like the next Donkey Kong, which is it does sort of like a static image here and there, and then it'll like go into Puyan, which is kind of cool. So if you grab the joystick and you go to boot into a game, let's do Donkey Kong 3. I'm running the 3.8 beta version, and I've noticed some kind of lagging thing here. I need to contact the software guy and see what's about that. But let me go into Donkey Kong 3 and let me just show you something here that I think it's relevant and important. Also, so some of the controls, let me set my keyboard aside here. Some of the games on here have some odd, weird sounds, and sometimes you'll have to update the samples folder. I'll show you that. I just updated my Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. samples folder. I might go out and look for a Donkey Kong 3 to see if there's a better one. But let me just show you. If you joystick to the right and hit Player 1 Start, that'll take you into your main function menu. And you can make some changes here. And one of the things you need to do on Donkey Kong 3 specifically, and you'll use the Player 1 action button to enter here, is you'll go and turn Auto Normalize. Turn that off. It by default comes on. And then take your amplifier and set it to 3. And then I usually hit save for this game, and it'll say options, save for Donkey Kong 3, return to the menu, return to game. Oh, by the way, you can also, you can also, oh jeez, I held the button down for too long. If you hold the Player 1 Start button down too long, you'll end up popping back up in the menu. But let's select the game again real quick, just so I can show you. And I'm not sure why DK3 does this, but there's like this, it goes into hyper run there for a second until it catches up with itself, and then it becomes normal. But anyway, joystick to the right, Player 1 Start. You can enter the dip switch functions for the game. You can bonus lives, you can change the lives that you want. Bonus life at 30,000, additional bonus lives 30,000. Set it to easy, medium, or hard. Things like that, and you can do that for just about every game, and depending on what emulator they're running. But I have tailored my list because I only have one joystick, 4-way, right, and one button. So my game list has been tailored for specifically those games that I can play, except I don't know why Blueprint's on here. I believe Blueprint is an 8-way game, but other than that game, Carnival, Cheeky Mouse, Circus Charlie, Crazy Kong I really like, Dig Dug, Donkey Kong 3, Donkey Kong Spooky Remix. It's one of the remix versions. Donkey Kong 2, Junior, Pauline, original Donkey Kong, Dr. Micro, Egger, Eyes, Frogger, Galaxian. Only I have mine set to fast shoot because I enjoy that, especially, or Galaga and Galaxian, Turbo, Gapless, Guzzler, Head On. I really enjoy that. Intrepid, that's a really interesting game if you haven't played that. Some of the classics. Jump Bug is actually an 8-way game, but you can play it pretty well with a 4-way, believe it or not. Jumping Jack, another good one. King and Balloon, Ladybug, Levers, a really good game. Lock and Chase, Lunar Rescue, Mappy, Minky Mouse, Mr. Mr. Doo's Castle, one of my favorites, Mr. TNT, Miss Pac-Man. It says hack down there because it has the speed up. Naughty Mouse, Nibbler, without the music, which is annoying as shit. Pac-Man and Chomp Chomp, one of my favorites. Regular Pac-Man. Pengo, which has become one of my new favorites. Puyan, Radar Scope, Route 16, Space Firebird, 2 variations of Space Invader, Speed Coin, which is really interesting, Spiders, Super Pac-Man, which was one of my all-time favorite, Amazing Adventures of Mr. Flea, Turtles, Up and Down, Wall Street, Warp, and ZZYXX, and then we're back to the beginning with Alpine Ski, Amadar, Anteater, and back to Bagman. So this is really tailored down specifically for me. It's like the Arpicade SD and kind of functions like that. You just hit player 1 start, you go into the menu, and then if you hold down player 1 start and hit player 1 fire, you'll coin up. So super fun game. But there it is. I've been trying to answer some questions and cover some of the functionality of some of these games. Let me pull my laptop here though and show a few things. This is where I kind of do my work and help other guys out here also as they're trying to understand this. I'm going to hop into this place here has really good samples. You will have a samples folder, and I'll see if I can show you that here. Let me exit. Let me close this out for a second and go into Arpicade work folder, arcade backups. So your samples folder. In the samples folder, you'll have sound samples. And Donkey Kong Jr., these are samples that when you load the game, they go looking for the sound sample to enhance the game to make it more like the real experience. And so getting the updated best versions of these really helps. So if you have Donkey Kong and it doesn't really sound very well, you're like, man, this doesn't really sound like the best one, you know. Well, you can go here and it says, now being an old school fanatic that I am, it's a great pleasure that we can now offer the updated Donkey Kong Jr. samples. Finally allows these games to be heard the same way they were in the arcade, perhaps not identical, but pretty darn close. Yeah, and they sound really fantastic. I own both. I actually own all 3, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, all 3 dedicated. And you can see down here, I just recently downloaded those. I copied and pasted them in my samples folder here, so that I had a better sound. So after you download your image from the Arpicade website, you'll open up WinDisk 32, and you'll want to select the device, but you'll also want to find recent places, MegaSync downloads. Here's the image here, right here. It's there. That's after I downloaded it. After I downloaded it, once you install MegaSync, when you do it, it's all pretty self-explanatory. Go to the Arpicade, it'll tell you, do you want to install MegaSync? Yes, it'll automatically download it. Then it'll end up in your MegaSync downloads right here. And you'll click on this image, and there it is. You see it right here. You will then select the drive that you want to burn it to, which will be F once you put your SD card in your computer. And then you'll go, I select read only allocated partitions. I think that's really for only when you're reading it, but I select it anyway. And then hit write, and then you're done. Once you're done with that, you will end up with an SD card that you can open up, and it will look like this when you open it up. Track layouts, configure, launcher, previews. It'll have all of this stuff, right? It'll have your samples. It'll have all of your sound samples. It'll have all of the previews, like the wheel images. It'll have all of this stuff included. You won't need to go hunting down anything. And it will all be labeled exactly the same as the ROM. Let's see if I can find an example here, like Donkey Kong. Oh, we went too far. So D Kong right here is the same as D Kong here. So if you insert this ROM, this is an actual ROM, if you insert that, you take that ROM and you open up your Arpicade image, open up your ROMs folder, and then these are the different emulators within it. You're going to have to try the ROM in each one of these to see which one it works best. Some of it won't work at all. Usually it's 172, usually it's 106, newer MAME versions 192. I tend to be in 106, 172. Donkey Kong definitely 106. You'll take that ROM and you'll drag it and you'll drop it in here. Just like that. And then when you pull that image out and install it in your Arpicade, the only game that will be on there will be Donkey Kong, because that's the only one you've added to it. And all of the artwork and everything will automatically be named the same. It will automatically appear there. So then you'll just, here's Donkey Kong Jr. Drag it, drop it in. Suddenly you have an image with both Donkey Kong Jr. It's really important to note that when you install these ROMs, they need to be in zipped folders. Don't unzip them. And then there you go. So you're back out here. If you're going to run FBA, if you're going to run Daphne, if you're going to run consoles, they have Advanced MES, they have Nestopia, Super NES. There's some of the supported systems. There are more supported systems now, but that gives you kind of an idea of what you're going to need to do. But if you look in my let's see here. Let's go to, if I look into my Dropbox, because I help a lot of people out with this. So this is here's my sample folder and here's my arcade ROMs. If you look in my 4-way image, these are the folders. So in 194 as an example, I have Astro Invader Carnival. INC, I can't remember what that is. And yeah, I can't remember what those were named. But 106, Alpine Ski, Anteater, Blueprint, Cheeky Mouse, Dig Dug, Donkey Kong. Right, so what you're seeing here is the actual folders: Amador, Bagman, Blue Bomber, Burger Time, Circus Charlie, Crazy Kong Part 2. That's what you're seeing here. You're seeing this actual image. That's this. So if I just joy to the side, then that's what you're seeing. You're seeing this list. They sort of find themselves in order because they're just compiled that way when you insert them in there. So I've built this specifically for my cabinet. I have a Commando downstairs with a JAMA adapter because it's Capcom to Data East. And I have a similar image just like this, but it's basically, it has 1941, 1942, 1943. Battle of Midway. It has Commando. It has Tiger Heli. It has Don Ponchi and Dudon Ponchi. Similar sort of games that would work with a 2-button 8-way cabinet. So it's tailored. And then I have a Magic Sword cabinet, which is sort of a hack and slash cabinet. And it has Magic Sword and Rastan, Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts, Rampart 2-player version, but it also has NBA Jam's 2-player version, Ninja Turtles 2-player version, so that I can play with Oliva. Anyways, that's just sort of a run through of the configuration and sort of what things do. I don't know if you have any questions, you can comment. I go by Kickman on KLOV, KLOV, that's in the International Arcade Museum. You can find some of the things I've done in the emulation section. You can reach out to me there if you're a member, or you can comment on this video here too if you are on the fence about getting an Arpicade from Joe at highscoresaves.com. That's where you can purchase it. It's about $180 shipped. It'll come with a Raspberry Pi, the interface adapter. It basically makes it so that you can use the Raspberry Pi to plug into a JAMA cabinet, JAMA wired cabinet, which is the Japanese Arcade Machine Association standard wiring pinout. And you can just build your image like this, like I have, and plug it into your JAMA wired cabinet and have more variety. I personally think it's better to have refined lists, smaller lists of games that are configured to monitor orientation, joystick, and button availability, and games that you actually enjoy. It doesn't really, if you've got to sift through a bunch of games, to just having a huge list of games really isn't where it's at. Where it's at is having 20 or 30 games that you really actually play and want to learn and enjoy, and then getting them configured so that they sound properly, so that they run properly, versus having glitches and weird sound things and just kind of just low performing. It's taken me a while to work through that and figure out how to get those things kind of ironed out. But I've also helped a lot of other people who have just been frustrated with it. They were like, man, this Donkey Kong 3 sounds really bad. And that's why I was like, well, hey, there's a little trick for that, like try Donkey Kong 3 in the 106 folder. And then when you get in the 106 folder, load up the game and go ahead and go into your menu section, go down to audio, and then turn the normalizer off and set the amplifier to 3. Then save that setting and return to game. And then it actually sounds pretty good. I think I own this game for emulation. It's really not bad. It has pretty close to what it should sound like. Play a little bit more so you can kind of hear it. The reason I bring it up, I was helping a guy tonight with it because he was frustrated with it. Anyways, I kind of hope that helps with the configuration stuff. Remember that when you want to get into the configuration menu that you're going to hit tab. That's going to take you in here where you can sort of configure things a little bit. And then escape to get out. Should take you back to the menu. And then F4 is going to take you into the service menu. Just be wary be careful what you do in here, you know, because you can make some changes in here that switch video output to low resolution vertical. I'm just going to go ahead and set that to that anyway, because that's what we're at. It's going to reset the game, and it's going to just take me back to the reload. If I had it horizontal, it would rotate the screen this way, low resolution horizontal, because it thinks that you'll be viewing it from this angle instead, you know. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully some of those, I get asked these questions a lot. Specifically, people are like, how do you customize this thing? How do you do this? How do you do that? Let me give you a quick example here real quick. Another little thing. We'll hit tab and we'll go to displays, all games. We'll go up to, remember we're in SD mod version 2. Let's go to where's a TrackMan vertical. All right, let's see what happens here. So yeah, now it looks like this, right? So it's a just a different, you know, if you want something different, you know. But I just kind of, so again, you'll tab into the menu, and we'll go back to display. We'll select it. We'll go back up to all games, and I'll go back up to layout, and I'll change it to I was running SD Arcade mod version 2, and then we'll escape back out, escape, and there you are. We're back to the way we were, right? I really, 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 really advise you to make copies of your cards. That way, as you make changes, in case you make a mistake, you can be like, man, I don't know what I did there, but at least I'm not at all lost, because it's a lot of work getting the ROMs, getting them inputted, and doing all that stuff. And you know, if you lose all of your work because you were fooling around, it gets real frustrating. And believe me, I've done it. In fact, I just did it to my horizontal image, and I have to start all over, and it's just terrible. So take my advice and back up your work. Make several copies of it. Burn them using WinDisk 32 and have spare copies. Go out and buy some extra micro SD cards and burn some copies. Alright, hopefully that was helpful. Sorry about my mumbling. This was totally unscripted. I just had some guys asking me for some help, and I think sometimes when you have a video to sort of walk through it and see things work as they work, it really, really helps. So comment on the video if you have any questions, or find me on Arcade Collectors Worldwide on Facebook. I go by Harry Gloth there, and Kickman, KLOV, if you want to PM me there. So. Alright. Have a good night.